This is just a few, and this is the newest. And these are all Harry and Hedgehog having fun.
Hello, I'm Miss Melissa from the Crouse Memorial Branch in Rockford.
Hi, I'm Miss Lee from Comstock Park Branch.
And we are going to talk to you tonight about brand new early readers and early chapter books that we have found at the library that we really enjoy, and we think you guys will really enjoy too. All the books that we're going to talk about come from our section of the library that's designed for kids from ages like 5 to 10. And we're going to start with books that are easiest to read for those emergent readers who are just starting to read books on their own. And then we're going to work our way up to longer beginning chapter books that are good for kids who are, reading independently on their own, and they're ready for longer stories and more text complexity. So we'll also include a book list in the video description. So if you hear titles and you're like looking for them really quick, or you want to write them down, don't worry about it. You can just click on the link to the book list and you can place holds directly from that book list when the video is over. So without further ado, I'm going to get us started with our first book, and that is Pillbug Does Not Need Anybody. And this is a brand new book and a brand new character even by Theodore Seuss Geisel award-winning author-illustrator Jonathan Finsky. And I just love this one. It's so silly. If you've read any of his other work, he authored and illustrated Hello Krabby and a bunch of other books. So I think you'll really enjoy it for the tone, the beautiful, colorful pictures. As you can see, it's really expressive. Our main character here, Pillbug, he is convinced that he rolls alone and doesn't need anybody else. But as you can see, there is somebody else in this story, and they look a little bit more friendly than Pillbug, and maybe they want to play and roll with Pillbug. Do you think that he could have more fun with somebody else? You'll have to read the book to find out. I would recommend this one for brand new readers, kids who are just starting to read books with parental guidance, or kids who are just starting to read short, early reading books on their own. It's perfect for readers like ages 5 to 7. So Lee has another book that she's going to share with us. Let's get her back here.
All right, so my first book is called Can I Have a Turn? So this one right here, this guinea pig, his name is Harry, and this is Hedgehog. This is the Hello Hedgehog series. They are super fun books. There's quite a few of them. This is just a few, and this is the newest. And these are all Harry and Hedgehog having fun playing as friends. So in this one, Harry gets this new remote control car, and it's brand new. It's his new favorite toy. He's having so much fun playing with it. But then Hedgehog wants to have a turn. And it's hard sharing new toys, isn't it? So this book follows them and them learning to share Harry's new toy. This, like the Pillbug book, is good for early readers. All of the Acorn series books are going to be really good for those kids just starting to read, especially on their own with parental guidance or without. The fun thing about these that I really like is these have chapters in it. So like it's 3 or 4 short chapters, and it makes the kids feel like they're reading a chapter book, and it's super cute. And let's see what else Miss Melissa has for us.
Yes, so the next one that I have is really similar reading level to these first 2 books we've talked about. It's called That Egg Is Mine. And like Pillbug, this is a brand new set of characters from a brand new series. This series is by Liz Goulet-Dubois, and it features Duck and Cluck. And it's great for fans of Elephant and Piggy. It's got major Elephant and Piggy vibes. It's written at just about the same reading level too. It has some bigger words in it, so it might be better suited for kids who are just a tad more patient or willing to ask for help. But it's very like classic picture book, a little bit like edging into the graphic novel style of art. So it could also make a really good read aloud. I think I could even use this in story time, honestly. But in the book, Duck and Cluck find an egg. And as you can see from the cover, each of them has blue with white spots. Duck's bill is blue with white spots. Cluck's feathers are blue with white spots. The egg is also blue with white spots. So what happens? They each think the egg belongs to them. Does it belong to one of them? Could it belong to somebody else? You'll have to read it to find out. There's a very, very funny and big surprise waiting for them at the end. And it also includes a really good lesson about sharing and not jumping to conclusions. So like the first couple books we recommended, this one's perfect for ages 5 to 7. All right, we're going to move back to Miss Lee.
All right, the next one that I have is also another series. This is called Your Friend Parker. They have this as a level 1. It does have a couple of complex words, but most of them are pretty basic. So this is a great starter for kids who are just learning like the other ones we've talked about so far. So this one, here's another one, and it originates from this picture book here. So if your kids loved this picture book, these are a great next step for your reader. I love this book because it's got a little bit of historical fiction in it. It follows Zora Neale Hurston with her relationship writing letters with Dorothy West. So Parker here, her friend is going away for the summer, or she's going away for the summer. I'm sorry. She's going on a trip and she's going to miss her friend so much. So they decide to write each other letters as they go so they can stay in touch and maintain their friendship. It's just a really cute story about friendship from a distance, kind of like we had to do with COVID for a little while there. But it doesn't talk about COVID at all, so we don't have to worry about any trauma there with kiddos. But it's a really cute story. And like I said, it's got that historical fiction in it. So it's great for anywhere from 5 to 8 years old. What do you have for us, Miss Melissa?
Yeah, I keep picking up those Parker books because they're so beautiful. The art is just gorgeous. It reminds me of like the illustration that I find in stuff that Disney publishes. It's just really beautiful. So the next book that I have is called Camila the Gaming Star. This is a brand new series put out by Capstone Publishing. And Capstone creates primarily educational texts. So they put out the first 4 books in the series all at the same time. All of the books are titled Camila the interest star, the baking star, the singing star, etc. And they all follow our main character, Camila, this 7-year-old girl, in her endeavors to become a star at something. It's written by Alicia Salazar. And what I really love about this series is that it takes the common theme of books like this, where the protagonist is going to try to be the best at something or win something, and it inverts that story and puts the focus on the protagonist's personal growth, and especially their growth in confidence and their ability to solve problems. So in some of these books, Camila will work really, really hard at some sort of contest, and then the story actually ends before the winner is announced. I just thought that was so interesting and unique and such a great way to like inspire kids. So in this story, Camila is trying to raise some money to buy video equipment for a web channel that she wants to start. All right, girl. So she decides to enter a video game contest. She's not deterred by the fact that she doesn't actually play video games, so she learns to play video games for the contest. Is she going to be able to win the contest and win the prize money? Well, that is yet to be determined. I won't spoil it for you, but I will tell you that it's a wonderful series. Camila is a protagonist that you'll love rooting for. And it also includes a glossary of terms in the beginning because Camila's family speaks both English and Spanish. So there's a little bit of Spanish sprinkled throughout the story. All the Spanish words are bolded and in a different color. And if you don't know what they mean from text clues, you can look them up in the glossary at the beginning of the book. It also includes an introduction to her family too. So kids can go into it feeling like, yeah, I really know how to read this book. It's a longer early reader. It felt more like a junior early chapter book to me, but it is in the early reader section. It's got chapters, and it's probably better suited for kids a little bit older. I'd recommend it for ages 6 to 8. Kids who enjoy books like Fancy Nancy or Meet Yasmin or Sophia Martinez are really going to enjoy the Camila series. All righty. What have you got for us?
Super cute. My next book is still an early reader. It's called Nugget and Dog. It's also a graphic novel, which I think is super cool. We're starting to see more graphic novels in the early reader section, which I think is a lot of fun. This one is good for kids 6 to 9, so it's a little bit older. It's got some more complex words, and it uses acronyms in here, which I think are very cool. These are superheroes. We've got a hot dog and a potato superhero, but they don't fight crime like normal superheroes do it. They fight crime with kindness, which I think is super fun. All ketchup. So ketchup means kind, empathetic, thoughtful, courageous, helpful, unique, and powerful. And then mustard, that is the evil villain. So you'd have to find out what that stands for, because that's also another acronym that they talk about in here. I just think it's really cute for kids, especially who want to read like Captain Underpants books or Dog Man, but aren't quite there yet. This is a really great alternative for that. So I really enjoyed this book as a graphic novel and as a silly superhero humor, but learning about kindness and empathy, which is super important.
So the next book that I have is actually a graphic novel too. It is a new series called Geraldine Pooh, named after the protagonist. And this is the second book in the series, but I don't think that we've book talked this series at all yet. So I wanted to get that going before she has too many books published. It's by Maggie P. Chang. And this one's titled Geraldine Pooh and Her Cat Hat Too. It's a very early graphic novel, really straddling the line between the early reader section and the junior early reader section, or the junior early section. It's from Ready to Read Graphics, which has been putting out a ton of material that you might already be familiar with. But this one follows Geraldine. She's a Taiwanese American girl who loves her family, her favorite things, and being cozy, especially when she is being cozy in her cat hat. And her cat hat has always been like this wonderful thing that she celebrates, kind of the way that younger kids might have a favorite stuffy. But one day, she goes to the salon with her little brother Augie and her ama, and she finds herself just fixated on Ama's beautiful wavy hair. And then when she goes home and looks in the mirror, she thinks, my hair is so straight and boring. She really, really wants to have beautiful wavy hair like Ama. So, of course, she tries to get that beautiful wavy hair. It's very funny, very relatable. But what she forgets is that in all of her endeavors to change her appearance, her little brother Augie is always watching. And he wants to be just like her and do everything that she does. So you'll have to read it to find out how it ends, but it's a very, very sweet story about self-acceptance and celebrating your uniqueness and how things might always not be the way that they seem. And now we always have to remember our little siblings are watching us. My favorite parts about this book are it's an introduction to graphic novels. So it's the perfect series for kids who might be interested in reading graphic novels, but they've never read them before and they don't really know how panels work. All of that is explained by Geraldine herself in the beginning of the book. It also explains some terminology and pronunciation in the beginning of the book. So it explains that she and her family speak both Mandarin Chinese and Taiwanese, and they also speak English. So some of the words that only English speakers might not be familiar with are described, pronounced. It's very easy to read, and I just found it really enriching, and it wasn't intimidating at all. So it's still really good for kids who are just speaking English. I'd recommend it for kids ages 6 to 8, a lot like Camila the Gaming Star. and probably for a really similar audience too. It reminded me of something that kids who are really into like Pinkalicious and Fancy Nancy, but are ready for a little bit longer story that's less like a picture book and more like a chapter book or a graphic novel, they would be interested in this. All right, let's hop back over to Miss Lee.
All right, so I think even though that was a JE book, I think this is our first true JE book. This is another series. This is the second in the series, I believe, called the Trillium Sisters. So the Trillium Sisters, they were adopted after their now adoptive dad found them in the woods. And so they're triplets. So we've got Giselle, Emmy, and Claire. And this book is super fun. It's fantasy. It's got glitter. It's very, very girly, like Fancy Nancy type glitter girly, but with some fantasy, some realistic fantasy in there. What I liked about these books is that these sisters love each other, and this is Bestie Day. So Bestie Day is where you celebrate the important people in your lives like your best friends. And so they are going to make something for each other for Bestie Day. And they decide to make something out of trillium flowers. But they're very conscious about the things that they do and how they affect our planet. So they're only picking up the petals, but they find somebody in the field with all the flowers is cutting them all down, and the bees are not having any flowers. So you also learn a lot about the ecosystem and how they work and what bees' roles are in that. So this is going to be a little bit older. It's a great read aloud. So I would say anywhere from 6 to 9, maybe even 10, just because it's fun. It's a fun read, and you got a little bit of adventure and magic. So this one is a really good one. And like I said, it's a series. So if they liked this one, there's more for them to read.
I have the perfect book to go after that. It is also a book about girls and flowers and a little bit of environmentalism too. And this is one that I'm probably the most excited about right now. It's called The Flower Garden, and we'll just stop and admire the cover. The whole book is just gorgeously illustrated like this. It's a brand new graphic novel by Renee Carilla, and it follows these two characters. They basically, Anna finds out that bees are absolutely essential to the health of ecosystems because they pollinate flowers. So even like their vegetable garden can't grow without the help of bees. But she also finds out that bee populations are in decline. So her answer is to plant more flowers to help make sure that these bees have food and habitat. So she and her friend, Tess, they go and they plant these flowers. And after all that hard work, they take a nap with their cat, Tiger. And when they awake, they find that their landscape has changed in a much more dramatic way than they expected. It's a really, really wonderful early graphic novel. It's very magical. It's full of like wonder and excitement and adventure. It's also got some really great lessons about friendship. It reminded me of something that maybe like fans of Narwhal and Jelly or the Norma and Belly books would like, if you're familiar with those series. It's written at about the same reading level. It's about the same length. Textually, it's really simple, and it could be read by like very new readers. But the story and the illustrations are so good that I'm pretty sure my 4th grade daughter will just devour this. So I would recommend it for a really broad age range, honestly, like 7 to 10 or 11 or even 12. It's got a lot of the same like look and vibes as graphic novels that you'd find in our junior fiction section. It's just a lot easier to read. So it'd also make a really good high-low recommendation for older kids who are looking for something that's a little bit more textually simple. It would also really appeal to kids who are fans of fantasy. All right.
All right. I've got a couple of other graphic novels I'd like to talk about. The first one is Weenie featuring Frankenbeans, Mad About Meatloaf. This is a super silly graphic novel about this wiener dog here who has friends, this little guinea pig here, and a cat. His owner has just made meatloaf and it's sitting on the counter. Cat tells him to go ahead and eat it. You see how Cat's kind of grumpy? I don't know that taking advice from Cat is the best, but you'll have to read the book to see if he listens to Cat or his guinea pig friend who says, no, you know he'll be mad if you eat that meatloaf. So this book revolves around the dog wanting meatloaf and seeing whether he'll eat it or not. It's super silly. Like I said, it is a graphic novel. Like Melissa said, high-low. This is a super simple read, but it appeals to a broad age range because it is silly and humorous. My third and fourth grade daughters both really enjoyed this. And then one of my coworkers' first grade son also loved this book. So it appeals to a wide age range. So then the other one that I have that is also a graphic novel and also very silly is Farm Crimes, the mysterious disappearance of Cow. So Cow's gone missing and we have the best goat detective around who, if you've ever seen like Pink Panther, the detective is not a very good detective. So it's very silly in that respect. And the illustrations are also silly because the animals function like people. So they walk on two legs and talk, and the people actually understand them. It's just really silly. This one has a little bit more complex words in it and plays with words a little bit more. So I would say this one would be ages 8 to 11. But it could also make a really fun read aloud with the younger kids too, if you wanted to.
All right. So the next book that I have is pretty unique. It's called The Secret of the Magic Pearl. And it was just published in English this year. It's a translation from the Italian. And the book is written by Elisa Sabatinelli. And it's just gorgeous. I'm sure you can see from the cover. It's super different from most of the other new junior early chapter books that we've gotten this year. And I really want to read it with my kids. The story itself feels familiar. It's not super, like, the story itself isn't super unique, but it's one of those stories or premises that feels so familiar. It just sits just right. So it follows our main character, Hector, who lives in a coastal town in Italy with his mom and his dad, who own a tourist expedition business. And Hector dreams of being a deep sea diver, just like his father when he grows up. For now, he's just kind of helping out in the business. His grandfather was a captain, like a sea captain, and told him all these stories and legends. He's pretty sure most of them are made up, but there's one story that Hector's grandfather told him about something called the Pearl that's hidden in the ocean close by that like lit the pathway for ships to come home. No one's ever found. So, familiar storyline, a new entrepreneur comes to town, opens up a new tourist expedition business, and it threatens Hector's family's tourist business. But this new businessman's plan is not to take people out into the sea and inspire them. No, it's to find the pearl and sell it so that he can get the money. Hector is not okay with that. So he has to go on a little adventure of his own to save the pearl and save everything that he loves about his community and the culture and the environment. It's got a lot of really cool lessons in it. But my very favorite thing about this book is the illustration. the inside is actually more beautiful than the outside. And it's one of those books that's really meant to be read as both a picture book and a chapter book. So you'll really want to take your time with the illustrations. There's so much to discover on every single page. It's beautifully written, but it's probably too difficult for the average 6 or 7-year-old to read. In terms of reading level, it's probably closer to like 3rd or even 4th grade, but it would appeal as a read aloud to a really, really broad age range. So I'm recommending it as a family read aloud, actually, for ages 6 to 10, maybe a little bit under that, maybe a little bit over than that. You know what your family's interested in. It reminded me a lot of the Mouse books by Torben Coleman, who's a German author illustrator who writes beautiful, lavishly illustrated picture books with complex illustrations for a young audience. It also reminded me of the kind of thing that families who do read-alouds like The Tale of Despereaux or The Chronicles of Narnia would really appreciate this story. It's got a really timeless feel. So let's bounce over to Miss Lee.
All right, I have another book series for you. This one I love because it teaches a lot about the gods of the Greek mythology, which pop up in pop culture all the time. So this one focuses on Hermes. It's called The LittleOlympians. This is book 3 so far. But there are 4 gods in this story, and they are going down to Earth to learn more about the mortals. But they can't let the mortals know that they're gods, so they have to hide their powers. But when they go into town, they overhear a bunch of soldiers plotting to take over the town of Argos. And they want to help save that city. So they have to find a way to save the city without anybody knowing what they can do. So Hermes is actually going to have to race to Athens to see if Athens will send their army to help save Argos. Along the way, he comes in to a lot of different obstacles. So it's very much an adventure story with some Greek mythology thrown in. It's a super cute read. It is a little bit older. So this one, I would say between 8 and 11. It's complex in its reading, but I forgot where I was going with that, but it is complex. It's got a lot of fun illustrations in it, and it does teach them about that Greek mythology, which will be helpful for them for background knowledge growing up and as those things pop up later in life where Greek mythology is mentioned in both movies and books. So I really liked that for that background knowledge, which will help them later in life.
Cool. My 4th grader was reading the Little Goddess Girls series a couple years ago. So that might be a good series to get her started on if it's like a little bit more complicated textually. All right. So the last book that I have to share with you guys is the second book in a series. This book is called Mob's Rule. It's the second book in the Minecraft Stone Sword saga, which is a spin-off from the Wood Sword Chronicles. Basically, if you've got a child between the ages of like 7 and 10 or even 11 who is obsessed with Minecraft, this is the book series that you're looking for. You're welcome. It's published by Mojang. If you fit that demographic, you're aware of how much Minecraft literature there is out there, and you're probably aware that the quality varies widely. We have well over 100 Minecraft fiction books for kids in our catalog. But because these are published by Mojang, the creator of Minecraft, the quality is still pretty high. So it follows a cast of characters. This is Poe, the main character in this story, and it follows them in parallel storylines, one in the game, one outside of the game, which is a pretty common format for Minecraft novels. So in this particular book, Mob's Rule, Poe and his friends are going deeper into their Minecraft world than they've ever gone, encountering new challenges. Will they be able to overcome them? Wow. Poe is trying new things and encountering new challenges in real life. In this book, he's running for class president, and that opens up a whole can of worms in his life. You'll have to read the book to find out what happens in each story. But these are really great books. It's a great series. Again, if they've done the Woodsword Chronicles and they liked that, they'll love the Stone Sword Saga. If they haven't done any Mojang published Minecraft books, you should get them started either on Stone Sword Saga, the first book, or Woodsword Chronicles. It's probably on the higher end of reading levels within the junior early chapter books section of the library. I'd recommend it generally for ages 7 to 10. It's got illustrations on almost every page, but the book itself is still predominantly text. If you've got a kid who enjoyed books like Press Start or like Notebook of Doom, My Weird School, this is similar in tone and style, but it's a little bit harder and a little bit more mature content. It's a good book for kids who are sort of straddling that line between the junior early chapter book section of the library and the junior fiction section of the library. So Minecraft Stone Sword Saga, Mobs Rule.
All right. And last, but definitely not least, I have a little bit older book series for you called Rabbit and Bear, Rabbit's Bad Habits. So this is the first in a series of currently 3, Attack of the Snack and A Bite in the Night. And all of these focus on a different animal. So this first one is about rabbits, about Rabbit. He's kind of grumpy here. And Bear, who is oh so sweet. Bear wakes up in the middle of their hibernation, and because she had a bad dream that all of their food was gone and taken. Well, she wakes up and it is, but there's no trace of anybody who came in and took it. So she goes outside to see if she can find some food and decides to build a snowman. Well, Rabbit's here and is a little grumpy and kind of yelling at her. So it's about them becoming friends, and you learn some really silly things about rabbits. Like, did you know that rabbits had to eat their own poop? I did not know that, but apparently the first time they digest their vegetables, their fruits and their vegetables and whatever it is they're eating, their body doesn't get all the nutrients from it. So they have to eat their poop again, and then it gets all of the nutrients out of that. As gross as that is, kids love weird poop facts, so I thought that would be super silly for them. But you do learn facts about animals in all of these books, so they're really cute. Your kids will laugh out loud at them. So I would say this one's good anywhere from 8 to 12 just because they are so silly and they've got fun illustrations and it's all about friendship. So that is what we have for you today. I hope you guys have all enjoyed it. Remember, we'll have that book list linked for you in the description. And be sure to visit kdl.org to get those reserved, put on hold, and sent to any of the 20 branches for you to pick up. We hope you guys have a great spring and get ready for summer. Bye.